and welcome to Get Enlightened with me, Lauren Scott. Guys, I'm so excited today to have Francesca with Texas Original on the podcast. Thank you for being here, Miss Francesca.
Thank you so much for having me, Lauren.
I don't know if everybody knows what Texas Original is, but you're the doctor side and the dispensary side of the only people really in Texas that can deal with medical marijuana. Is that correct?
So we are one of the licensed medical cannabis companies that's licensed to actually distribute and make medical cannabis. So we're not the doctors. We obviously work with doctors because you have to have a prescription to get our medication, but we're technically the medication and dispensary side.
Oh, okay. Well, then that was my bad, because when I first started getting with Texas Original, I think y'all are I went through my doctor who linked me up with y'all who linked me up with the doctor. So
no, and you bring up a good point too, because I think a lot of people don't entirely understand how the process works, and that's a big part of what we do at Texas Original. So what we try to at least explain the process to people, what the compassionate use program is and how it works, and also help people connect to doctors who are registered in the program. So for a lot of people, go ahead.
Yeah, you've been incredible with me. I have to give it all to your staff. I've been a medical marijuana patient with y'all for a very long time, and it's been just incredible. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. Like I was telling you before we got on, it's nice because like you were saying, there's so much that people don't understand or don't know about. And it's one thing to hear stories of patients, but it's another to have those stories with the people who are actually doing it. You know what I mean? To share the advice and the advocacy of it. So let's get started. Let's start with your socials, where people can find you, all of that good stuff.
Yeah, so main place is texasoriginal.com. We are also Texas Original CC on pretty much every single platform. So Facebook, Instagram, X, also TikTok. We have some fun videos on there. You can find us at texasoriginal.com or Texas Original CC on social media.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Francesca. Now, how did Texas Original start? Who are you and where did you start? Tell the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So we planted our first seeds back in October 2017. We served our first patient in February 2018. We're actually the only license here in Texas that's, from Texas, based here. So we're all local, all Texans. And a really big part of us, opening here is, these are our neighbors that we're serving. And, we care deeply about our patients in our state. So, that's why we wanted to bring this medicine, to the program and be able to provide the highest quality medicine. For me, I started actually a little later in 2020, but you mentioned just hearing stories from the program and patients. I remember when I first started, a couple people at the company kind of joked, "Oh, you're going to hear a patient story and cry." And I kind of brushed them off like, "Oh, I'm not going to cry." And one weekend I'm bawling.
Yeah.
It's truly such a blessing to be able to do this. And, us being a Texas company, we have such a close relationship with our patients and the doctors who are helping patients. And it means so much for us to be able to be part of this, journey for patients.
I mean, it really is incredible what y'all are doing, because explain to everybody what the compassionate use. What is the program called? Compassionate use.
Yeah. So, yeah, you got it right. So the first law that passed was the Compassionate Use Act. And that established the compassionate use program. So that is basically our medical cannabis program here in Texas. So if you have one of the qualifying conditions, you can access, medical cannabis from one of the licensed companies like us. All the medicine is made locally here in Texas, goes through a rigorous quality process and testing process to ensure that the medicine's safe, and it's consistent. But that's our program here in Texas. I think probably one of the biggest barriers that we have in Texas is that people don't know that we have a program at all.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I think a lot of people, if they do know about it, they think, maybe it exists as it did back in 2019. It's expanded a little bit since then. but yeah, this is our medical program. So this is a big part of what we do, just bringing medicine to Texas patients.
Let's talk about the medicine too, because I know with the bill that passed for the Farm Bill, there's only a percentage that the THC that's actually done. And I know that y'all don't sell any more than 30 milligrams at a time. And can you tell a little bit about the medicine and how that works, the process that it goes through?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in the medical program, so the compassionate use program, there's a THC limit of 1% THC by weight. So the way that works is it can't be any more than 1% THC in the weight of the final product. So we do have, for example, you mentioned the 30 milligram gummies. We have gummies that range from 5 milligrams THC up to 30 milligrams. And really all of those dosages are meant for patients who are at different treatment plan levels, needing more relief depending on, what their doctor has prescribed them. But the THC cap, because it's by weight, we are able to have, a slightly higher dosage with that 30 milligram gummy. Those are typically for patients who need that higher dose if they're dealing with severe pain from cancer treatment or, severe PTSD. And then there's obviously also lower doses. We do also have tinctures as well.
Yes,
and those allow for really precise dosing.
I love the tinctures. That's like my favorite. It
Yeah.
helps because I'm a PTSD and a cancer patient, and it helps with the nausea. It helps with so much. Like that tincture is incredible. And your gummies are very fast acting too, especially with nausea. Mm-hmm. They're very fast acting. I've sharing, when you share your story, people get interested and they go on, and especially as with cancer specifically. Yeah. And I helped my uncle get off of medicine so he could live a fulfilled life until he passed. You know what I mean? Because he was able to deal a little bit more with his chemo by using tinctures and your gummies. So your medicine, I think what I love about it the most is it's pure, you know where it's coming from, and it's safe.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, something that mattered a lot for me when I started here was, I'd been in marketing for a really long time, but I just kind of felt like I reached this point where I wasn't aligned necessarily. I knew in my gut I wanted to do something that was a little bit more meaningful. And when I started here, it just clicked. Being able to actually see the facility where the medicine's made and know the people who put that love and care into all these products, it means a lot, obviously, as an employee, but I know it means a lot also to doctors and patients who are, using this medicine. And the tinctures were actually our first product that we ever released. The Compassionate Use Act, when it first passed, the first qualifying condition was intractable epilepsy. So our 20-to-1 tincture was our very first product. And those were helping, pediatric patients who were dealing with some patients over 100 seizures a day.
Wow.
I think, one of the things that's been really impactful for me is we've quite literally seen some of these patients grow up. Yeah. And when they first started taking the medication, they weren't able to go to school or do, just fun extracurricular kid activities that they should be able to do. And, we have one patient actually, he, 4 years ago now, his family came to our facility to celebrate their first full year seizure free on our medication. And I was there for that. And it was incredible. Now he's celebrating 4 years seizure free.
That's just, the medicine speaks for itself, right? Like,
yeah,
it's just incredible. Like, how did were y'all really big in the legislation of getting it through? Because I know there was such a process, having to get your dispensary licenses and all of that. Where all are y'all located now, as far as like your dispensaries?
Yeah. So our home base is still Austin. So our facility is technically slightly south of Austin. I call it South Austin. That's our headquarters, but we serve the whole state. So we also have locations in all the major metro areas and then pick up locations outside of those just to make it easier for patients to, be able to get that medicine no matter where they are in Texas. So where we don't have locations, we also offer delivery too. So we quite literally cover the entire map of Texas. No matter where you are, we can get the medication to you.
I think that's very important to say, because I have mine delivered to me. And it's so funny. The very first time, girl, I have to tell you the story. The very first time that I got it delivered, I was so like walked outside and, you have to show your license. I felt like I was doing an illegal drug deal, or like
that's so funny.
You know what I mean? Because Texas especially is so ingrained, illegal, banned, bad, So like, I remember the first time, and your drivers are always so nice. And I'm always like, even now, years later, sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, my neighbors are probably like, what is happening? But it's so professional. And if you're going to share the medicine for the good of the community, I think y'all are doing it the right way. I will say that. And
I appreciate that.
Not going into like the political bullshit. That's what I'm going to call it. The political bullshit that goes on. But, it is so important that people understand that it is medicine. This is natural medicine that is used for the good. You know what I mean? And yes, there are people and kids that, as you grow up, that whole 60s, 70s thought process still goes into it. But I think that going back to the natural side of it, and just with my story of chemo and PTSD from a car accident, being a first responder in a car accident, it has helped. I just can't rave enough about it, Francesca. And I think that what you said about feeling aligned is so true, because I remember when I was on my first interview with the doctor, and he was like, look, we can help you. We can get you off of this medicine, and help you do the things that a normal person gets to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I was off of that medicine, and I was feeling better, and I was feeling like my old self. And it's just incredible to spread that. And I think that it's a shame that we get that the taboo of what it was used recreational overshadows sometimes the beautiful aspect. I'm trying to choose my words carefully, but the beautiful aspect of what the medicine gives to the people.
Yeah. And, yeah, absolutely.
It's just, it has blown my mind for myself. It's blown my mind for family members that I've sent that way. So with that being said, what are the different things that are covered under this compassionate program, and how can people get their license? What's the process for that?
Yeah. So you mentioned one of them, right? So PTSD is one of the qualifying conditions. Peripheral neuropathy, which is nerve pain. Muscle spasticity is another one. Epilepsy, I mentioned that was the first qualifying condition. Mm-hmm. All forms of cancer, so all stages and forms of cancer. Multiple sclerosis, ALS, Parkinson's, and there's over 100 plus neurodegenerative diseases that are covered as well. Mm-hmm. And if you're curious about just finding out if you qualify, we have a lot of information on our website just for that too, just to be a guide. So if you go to our website, texasoriginal.com, there's a button where you can click that says get a prescription. That's your first step if you're interested in joining the program. We have a list of telemedicine clinics that are licensed here in Texas to prescribe under the compassionate use program. You can schedule an appointment with one of them first to figure out if you qualify, and if you do, get a prescription. We also have a full doctor directory as well, so if you'd rather meet with someone in person, you can do that too. And on that same page, if you scroll down, you can see all the qualifying conditions. So we try to give everything that we can just to make that process a little bit easier. But once you get that prescription from the doctor, something that's a little bit different with our program versus just other prescription medications is once you get that prescription, it's added to a secure registry. It's called the Compassionate Use Registry of Texas. And it can be accessed by licensed dispensaries like us. But we are not notified whenever a prescription is added. So once you get that prescription from the doctor, you come back to us, let us know, and we'll get your first order. But we won't know until you tell us. So you got to give us a call, or you can place an order online as well. But that's the first step.
And with it being federally illegal, but state, like medicinally, I guess the states are having control of the situation. Can you travel with your medicine?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's legal within Texas, so you can travel within the state. However, if you're getting on a plane, airports are federal, so it would not be legal there. Obviously this is an area where we need, with so many states that have medical programs, we need some agreement there so that patients can have their medication on them always. But yeah, in Texas, the general rule is, it's legal in Texas, so you can travel within Texas with your medication. You can request a copy of your prescription from your doctor, just to have that extra on there. You also have your information on your medication. But if you're traveling out of state, at that point you are in, federal jurisdiction and then different state laws.
Yeah. And there was something else that I wanted to let people know as far as something. Never mind. We'll get to that in a little bit. We'll just dismiss that one. I'll ask that one to you myself.
That's the thing about working in medical cannabis. You can think of a lot of fun questions.
Yeah. I'm trying to make this super professional for people, but I have so many questions I'm going to have to ask you. Because there's so many different loopholes. I was really surprised that when I first, and I don't even know if I'm a passenger princess these days. I very rarely drive. But when I first got my license with y'all, I was told to kind of take one with me in case I got pulled over, and made sure, because it went into a database of Texas drivers or something like this. Is that correct?
It's a separate database. So we're regulated actually by the DPS, so the Department of Public Safety.
Okay.
But we're under the Compassionate Use Program, which is a separate program. So it's the registry that I mentioned, the Compassionate Use Registry, is separate, but it is ultimately under the DPS. Yeah.
And so when people are driving with it, do they just show their prescription if they get pulled over, or to let the officer know? How does that work? I've never been in that situation, and I've always wondered, because I've heard different, again, like I said, the loopholes with, especially in Texas, the medical marijuana industry is insane. So how does that work?
Yeah. So you can show a copy of your prescription. There's also a DPS number that you can call to verify on the spot too, the officer. But luckily this program is under the DPS, so that's, I think of benefit there. But if you plan on traveling, far, over 4 hours or something, you can always get a copy of your prescription just to have that extra, backing there. But we're part of the medical program, so we're separate in that way. But yeah, you can call that number at the DPS or show your prescription.
And when you're part of the medical program, are you under the HIPAA laws?
That's right.
Can you explain what that means to the normal listener?
Yeah, so HIPAA is, I'll try my best. It's a loaded question.
I know, sorry. That was one that I was trying to how am I going to phrase it?
So HIPAA deals with patient privacy, right? So that's because we are a medication, we do fall under HIPAA, just like any other prescription medication that you would get. So there is, privacy laws that we follow under there. Obviously, with cannabis and medical cannabis programs, they kind of exist in this place outside of other medications, which hopefully in the future there'll be, more synergy there, just to make some of these a little bit easier, one to understand for patients and physicians, right? But yeah, we fall under the exact same, medical practices, and, us too, as a program, it's important for us to, operate just like any other prescribed medication.
Yeah.
to have that same legitimacy and protection for patients.
And then my last question is, what are your wants as a company moving forward? What is something that's really important
that's
to
a
the
great
company
question.
moving forward? Thank
You
you.
know, our North Star always as a company is access, right? So
Mhm.
you probably saw that we just opened a new location in the Woodlands. That's an area where we have a lot of patients, and just making it giving them closer access to their prescription medication like they would getting any other prescription from CVS is
Yeah.
important to us. So that's definitely important for us moving forward too. So being able to bring the medication closer, being able to offer more medication types. Our gummies, for example, we introduced the first fast-acting gummy in Texas. Well, the reason for that was, we heard from doctors and patients that, some patients were taking a lot of oil from the tincture. Not all patients can tolerate the tincture either. It's just,
Yeah.
either something, a sensory thing or the flavor, or they just can't physically hold it under their tongue. So that's why we brought gummies. So we're always trying to work with doctors and get patient feedback too, to figure out what the best way to administer the medication is, just to make that easier. So that's all part of our North Star, which is access and improvement.
Yeah, I think it's great. I can't wait to see Texas Original just in every city, like sharing the goodness and health benefits of this incredible medicine. So thank you, Francesca, for getting on with us today. I really, 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 really do appreciate it. And thank you for advocating, because what did you do before this? Wait, I have to ask, what did you do before this? You said you've been in marketing forever.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I've been in marketing actually since I started in marketing back in college. I would go to my classes, come home, do whatever homework, write whatever essay, and then I'd spend my evenings writing SEO content, which is short for search engine optimization, basically long form blogs. So I've been doing it since I was in college, but after college, I moved on the agency side. So I was working with a lot of clients in marketing, and that's kind of, I stayed there for several years, but that's where I realized I wanted to do something more meaningful. I've always really, really loved storytelling, which is why I love marketing. But I just felt a little bit like there was a misalignment. I wasn't unhappy, but I just knew I wanted to do something more with it. So joined the team here in 2020, which was an interesting year to join any company, right?
Right.
And obviously us as a medical company too, as an essential service, was a really interesting time. But I knew almost immediately. I remember actually in my first couple weeks at the company, someone asked me, how are things going? And I said back, it doesn't even feel like work. I love it so much. And then afterwards I was like, oh, should I have said that? But it truly,
you found your purpose for many reasons. You know what I mean? Like, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I would love to have you on again. Maybe in like 6 months, and see how Texas is state. We'll talk the good stuff.
Probably a much more interesting conversing.
No. But more of like maybe a little bit of political stuff. Let's see where that goes. And I'll have you back on, and we can discuss with the world after.
Sounds good.
Thank you again for jumping on, Francesca. And thank you guys for listening to Get Enlightened with me, Lauren Scott. Thanks, girl.
Thanks, Lauren.